It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. Someone recently asked me to check out an article called When Agile Becomes a Jerk by Chris Combe. Now, at first, I have to tell you, I laughed at the title, but let's read through this because I think it's got some good information and I think we can elaborate or collaborate on some of the rest. So let's get it done. Let's do this. I was recently at a book club and someone made a point that got me thinking. The book club was discussing the book from Jim Benson, The Collaboration Equation. I recommend Jim's work. They're inspirational and a good work with good content. I haven't read that book, so I don't know. So I gave it a shameless plug without even trying. The comment was in reference to how good Jim's book was on humane working practices and professionalism. Okay, sounds like it's going to be a good book. Lean and Agile just don't focus enough on humanity. Okay, let's pause there. I agree. One of the things that I put in my main blurb for Agile Dad is we offer a pragmatic, humanized approach to doing things. And I can tell you there's so many things about Agile that don't necessarily dig into what it should be. So let's keep going and see where this goes. Someone suggested that Agile attempts to cover this in the Agile Manifesto when they say we're uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others through it. Through this work, we come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools. That got me thinking. Yes, we're trying to uncover better ways of working by doing it, but people often misinterpret the topic as Agile is better than waterfall. Why I suspect the oversimplified messaging of Agile versus waterfall wasn't intended to be so simple and lacking in nuance. I reflected and see the messaging as learning and adapting and how we work is better ways of working by doing. Okay, I can live with that. Thankfully, the Agile Manifesto doesn't go into specific practices and instead focuses on strict values and principles, a way to remain timeless, but also on opportunity for everyone else to try and fill the gap with their own interpretation, products, and certifications. Let's pause there. One of the things that I often point out is when Jim Highsmith and Alistair Coburn started crafting this and writing it on a whiteboard, I don't know that their intent was to make something timeless that was going to, be the creed for everything that was happening. And yes, I realized there were more people there, but those were the two who were physically writing. And, or at least that's what I've been told. But what I know is that sometimes we tend to isolate our ideas or think of things in a way that we feel like we can learn everything we need to know in a 2-day certification course and we're good to go. Now, this is coming from a guy who certifies thousands of people, right? What I can tell you is all certification courses are not carved out the same. And it's not mine's better than yours. So we're getting back to the Agile Manifesto. Here we go. I'm not saying that Agile Dad courses are better than XYZ company courses. What I am saying is that there is a significant quality difference and that you need to pay attention to that quality difference because you want to make sure you get what you pay for. And I've seen several times in organizations where they spend tons of money on Agile training and coaching, and they leave that training and coaching more confused than they were when they walked in. So just because you went to a 2-day class and got a certificate, it doesn't mean that you know more than someone who didn't go to that class. Many times, the person who didn't go to the class or the certification knows more, and the need to go to the certification was reduced because of their level of knowledge. Other times, the person is stubborn and they belong in that class, but they just didn't go because they insist that their knowledge outweighs the knowledge of the instructor, which I think is quite interesting. So it's a conundrum, right? It's a chicken and egg thing. I really dislike oversimplification of something being binary, where it is or isn't. Life, people, and everything around us just aren't that simple. I agree. Next time you hear someone saying something either is or isn't agile, get them to walk through what they really mean by that. You both might learn something as a result. I'm not a fan of the trope of agile police, a group of agile practitioners in an organization who correct people for not using the right words or terms correctly. If it comes to that, then your organization is missing the much bigger point about how they work together, the ways of working. This article is fire. I'm having a good time with this. Having observed a significant amount of change and transformation in the past few years around Agile, good, bad, and ugly, things usually not what they seem to be and require some additional inspection and adaptation. Forcing conformance is always dangerous. This is why agile transformations inflicted onto people rarely stick with long lasting impact. Now, while I refrain from using agile as dead rhetoric, that's why I was laughing, but I can see the impact of agile industrial complex has on how people see and behave when it comes to these practices. Running around using new terms and correcting others using different terms is missing the point entirely. These days, we try not to use the agile buzzwords as much and try to understand the context of people. Okay, let's pause there. I believe a renewed focus on what matters is definitely at hand. And what I've seen in many of my recent certification courses is a shift, a polarizing shift, where organizations have been asking me, just give me the template, give me the recipe. What terms should we be using? What tools should we be using? What are the 6 steps to running a perfect sprint planning meeting? What are the 5 steps for a perfect? And I'm like, gee whiz. I'm like, if you are so dogmatic in your approach and so static that you need these things, these guardrails, these tripwires, you're setting yourself up for a trap. Because even though the guidance that I give you will be darn good, uh, Agile's never been a one size fits all model. I've said this many times before. It's not red pill, blue pill. It's not one size fits all. The truth is, many people, I'm going to go with most people don't look good in spandex. So trying to get that one size fits all approach is just not where we need to be. So we should be focusing on things like psychological safety, team empowerment, autonomy, accepting failure, and learning from those failures. If we're doing those things, those are the things that are going to help us really be successful in our agile implementation. Learn to talk to people and not lecture them. Help them solve problems they're facing rather than trying to solve the problem yourself. And don't inflict, under any circumstance, don't inflict new processes just because you're trying to correct something and passing it down by company mandate. If we can get in the habit of practicing context sensitive, easy to understand, clear communication, we're going to end up focusing on team building and trust and organizations that have radical candor implemented. Those are the keys that are going to help you have the right conversations and help you be successful with Agile. That's going to do it. I hope you took away a lot from this episode. If you have a topic you want us to discuss or something you want us to review, make sure you reach out to us. Learn more at agiledad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.